Aha, eBay, the perfect place to pick up unexpected items. You might get a beloved household knickknack, a rare collector's item, or a curse. Here are the shocking stories of the most haunted items ever sold on eBay. Number 10. The Anguished Man. The second you look into this portrait's ghastly face, it's not surprising people think it's haunted. A demonic visage with its eyes inky black and its mouth unnaturally wide open. It looks as if it's about to suck the soul out of any unfortunate person who spends too long looking directly into its gaping maw. Described as a horrific paranormal portrait by the original owner, they claim to have experienced supernatural events while having it in their house, including footsteps and bird songs coming out of nowhere, and even doors opening and closing by themselves. But is there any truth to these terrifying claims? Well, that's the rub with buying haunted objects on eBay. There's no way to know. The auction site allows for anything to be sold that doesn't violate their rules, and all you have to go on is the owner's promises or warnings. For the person who eventually bought this terrifying portrait, they may have found out the hard way, or they may have had a very awkward conversation piece and nothing more. Or maybe they thought it was the perfect revenge for that aunt who got them socks every birthday when they were a kid. But this next item might have found a more enthusiastic audience. Number 9. Haunted Bra. It's one of the least frightening, but maybe one of the least sanitary items posted on eBay. A single-used bra, white and kinda ratty, and designed for a woman with a 32A bust. But it's also packing some major spirit power, or so claims Tonya Rose, the woman selling it. But this isn't a second-hand bra, it's a third-hand bra, because the listing claims it belongs to a deceased woman, one who lived a life with a lot of sex, partying, and adventure before she met an untimely end. So why would anyone want her used undergarments? Because according to the seller, she never quite left. Her spirit is still hanging around in her bra, and anyone who wears it will inherit her success in the romantic world. Get ready for a big increase in the number of admirers and gifts, because it may not have wound up with a woman because it supposedly has another ability. If someone places it by a lit white candle, the spirit of the woman will appear, and when placed by a red candle, she'll grant the owner a sexual encounter with the spirit world. Terrifying and erotic claims. But another cursed piece of attire may make it even harder to sleep. Number 8. Tapping from Beyond. A simple pair of tap shoes made from black leather, one adorned by a fancy red bow. They look just as if they could be slipped on for a tap recital, but they were last used a very long time ago. A little girl named Lisa, who loved to dance, put them on one last time, and at some point met an untimely end. There they sat in an old nursery closet until they were dug up during an estate sale, alongside a collection of old clothing and toys. Perhaps they could be put to use again all this time later, but Lisa's spirit may have had other ideas. The seller Haunted Hearts posted that they had experienced disturbing things while cleaning out their late aunt's house. There were mysterious knocking sounds coming from inside the closet, almost as if the shoes were tapping by themselves. Not only that, but the house they were found in had a disturbing history of murder and rumors of ghosts, including that of a 9-year-old girl who had died of an illness. Was this the unfortunate Lisa? And so, would she finally be put to rest or follow her shoes to the new home? Someone found out. It wasn't the only household object that seemed to function on its own. Number 7. The Thirsty Donkey. Going through an old person's estate will often turn up a few quirky items, but few odder than this one. A decorative drinking jug held in a miniature cart, pulled along by a porcelain donkey. The poster, Griffey911NY, had known about this item since he was a child. It was always on display at his grandmother's house. She always kept it full of water. But after she passed away and he was taking care of her estate, he bumped into it one day, and it became clear something was very wrong. How was the donkey's jug filled with water when there was no one to fill it? He thought it must have been left over and ignored it, but over time it seemed to happen repeatedly. The level of water didn't stay the same, it seemed to increase spontaneously. While his grandmother may have been willing to keep the mysterious object around her home, the seller eventually decided he had to get rid of it and put it up for auction. For someone who wants a constant supply of water around the house, might be a good investment if its abilities prove true, but the superstitious might think twice before taking a swig. This next item might be a bit more high maintenance. Number 6. The DJINN mask. It looks like an exotic curio to keep in the house, a curious-looking metal mask that resembles a monkey, but the seller had a fantastical story to tell. They claimed to have visited Thailand and watched a supernatural battle as a witch used spells to bind the spirit of a jinn to the mask, trapping it. The mask became packed with supernatural powers, and anyone who owned it would reap the rewards. Not only would the Djinn mask supposedly fend off vampires, but it would bring great riches to anyone who treated it well. But treating it well involves a bit of work. Most haunted objects, you just put them up in your house and things get weird. But for this mask, expect the household food budget to go up. The Djinn requires regular offerings of food and drink, as well as expecting the owner to meditate in front of it for 20 minutes 3 times a day. And if you own the mask and don't do these things, well, you've just angered an ancient spirit bound to a cursed mask. Nothing bad will happen, I'm sure. Just keep an eye on those food offering plates to see if they start disappearing. But no haunted object is more unassuming than this next one. Number 5. A ZIPLOC bag? It's not often that a haunted object comes in packs of 3, 6, or 9, but that's exactly what Rusty Raccoon is offering on eBay. Packs of ZIPLOC bags that may just transport your leftovers to another dimension. The listing claims that these bags have the mystical power of reversing time. You simply place your leftovers or snack food inside, and not only will the bag keep them fresh indefinitely, but it'll turn back time. Supposedly, if you put in stale or spoiled food and then take it out again, it'll be fresh. True or not, only one way to find out, and it may involve indigestion. But these bags claim to have another more shocking power. Their abilities extend beyond food, and the haunted ZIPLOC bag may even be able to heal people. So how do you get a person inside a ZIPLOC bag? You don't, but you can get a hold of a lock of their hair and place it inside, and they may be healed through the power of another dimension. Bold claims, and this is the rare enchanted eBay artifact that doesn't claim to hold a dangerous spirit. But one thing's for sure, with the starting asking price of $25, the seller was getting a supernaturally good profit margin. A photograph can be a powerful memento, but this next one leaves a lasting impression. Number 4. The endlessly smelling photograph. It looks like a memento from an old family album, an ancient brown photograph of a sharp-dressed gentleman who has long since passed from this world, supposedly from the Victorian era and containing a picture of a man named Martin. It was found, like so many of these objects were, in a dusty old attic. The owner was impressed by this old photograph and frequently brought it out to show off to guests, but as time went on, it became clear something didn't seem quite right. Or rather, something didn't smell quite right. The photo album always seemed to have an odd smell around it. Could it be lingering scents from the time it was used, that had been stored there after it was sealed away? The only problem with that theory is that the scents weren't always the same. Sometimes it was a lovely scent of roses, other times it smelled like something was smoking, and other times it was the sharp smell of a wood fire. It was worrying enough that the owner supposedly contacted the spirit within a Ouija board. While the ghost didn't seem hostile, paranormal activity around the home reportedly increased, and that was enough for them to get it out of their house and into the hands of a collector. But this next object packed the supernatural power of a whole cursed location. Number 3. Asylum knobs. There are few locations filled with more dark energy than old-fashioned asylums. They were full of insane, sometimes violent people, who were the victims as often as they were the danger. It was common for patients to be subjected to violent treatment, including beatings, solitary confinement, electroshock therapy, and lobotomies. Unexpected deaths of patients were common, and the bodies were usually buried right on site. It's not a surprise that abandoned asylums are one of the most common sites for ghost sightings. So why would someone bring that home? The gates to the asylum are literally the doors to horror, but someone decided that the perfect memento from one of those asylums would be to take the knobs from the doors. But it's just a pair of knobs, right? Well, the seller hadn't claimed any supernatural events happening after they took the knobs home, but they did say that the asylum itself was home to strange lights and noises, despite there being no one there. So for anyone who wants to bring the doorknobs from an abandoned asylum home, good luck. But some haunted objects pack a much bigger threat. Number 2. DYBBUK boxes. It started in 2003, when writer Kevin Mannis auctioned an old wine cabinet on eBay. He claimed that it had been owned by a Holocaust survivor, and ever since he possessed it, he had been haunted. It was sold, and several other owners reported increasing terrifying phenomena. The claim was that these boxes contained sealed spirits that, when opened, would terrorize the people in the house until they were sealed up again by a religious ritual. It became one of the most well-investigated supernatural incidents in paranormal history. So, naturally, it turned out that there was more than one. If you go on eBay, you'll find a whole host of people claiming to be selling authentic DYBBUK boxes. They warn of mischievous spirits, haunting origins, and disturbing dreams. While most people wouldn't want these boxes anywhere near their homes, Fans of the supernatural want to find out for themselves. In many cases, they'll get an empty box mislabeled as a DYBBUK box to lure in the suckers, but maybe once in a while they'll find something more. And there are no shortage of people looking to find out the truth. But this is one haunted object that shows up more than any other. Number 1. Dolls. So many dolls. It all started with Annabelle, the supposedly haunted doll kept by the Warrens at their Museum of the Paranormal. While the supernaturally murderous doll is safely locked up, her existence kickstarted a wave of interest in creepy old dolls of every type. And it's impossible to spend a few minutes on eBay without finding a listing of someone claiming their old porcelain or rag doll is actually cursed. And whatever your tastes are, there's a haunted doll for you. Among the oddest selections are a Star Wars stormtrooper that will make people hallucinate house fires, a bride and groom doll whose faces glow supernatural red, an old-fashioned clown doll that supposedly moves on its own at night, and a cartoonish ape man named Grunt, a popular 80s toy that reportedly doesn't need batteries anymore. And we can't forget all the voodoo dolls out there. For many haunted doll fans, the question is, why stop at one? After all, what could go wrong with hundreds of haunted dolls in the same house, right? For more on one of the most haunted objects of all time, check out What If the Real Annabelle Escaped, or click this other video instead.